But anyhow, farming the 20-acre land was not enough to keep Pappy busy. And that's when...
And that's Sarah Jane's?
Sarah Jane's.
Okay. Well, was that enough work for Sarah Jane and John Emanuel, or did he have another side job?
Well, the times were different. Back in their days when he moved there, everything was done by hand. And his health was not good. And that's why they... Now, if Ruth...
Wait, even prior to the stroke, it wasn't good?
Right?
Even prior to John Emanuel's stroke, his health was not good?
Correct.
I never knew that.
Well, that's why they moved from the big farm over to the small. Because he was not well and physically capable of handling the big farm.
How large was the big farm?
I don't know. I don't know. But it had at least 100 or plus acres. Anyhow, but there wasn't enough, so then he worked for John's. He got dollars for working there. But he also...
No, this is Pappy you're talking about.
Yes, Pappy when
Okay.
he worked there. And he would take some of those dollars and buy feed for the cattle, which increased the production of butter and the eggs and the milk.
And this was on Sarah Jane's farm.
Right.
So when me and Pappy first got married, he, at some point that year, worked at her farm, and then they were living with her.
Yeah, they lived in that when Pappy and Baby were first married. Now, I think Uncle Loring was still at home part of the time. And then he got to know New Kingston because that's where Uncle Loring and Aunt Margaret lived. And that's how he found out about this house. And he, see, that house was built in around 1910 or 12 in New Kingston. So he was only about 10 or 11 years old.
That's quite new.
It was new, you know. I don't remember what value, what the price of it was, but you could not go to the bank and borrow money to buy a house. So
you needed a good name in the community or with your family.
Yeah. Well, you Pappy and Mimi had the money that Mimi had inherited from Othniel Kittner's wife, and one or two of her, Sadie Fair was John Emanuel's sister, and they had no children, and Mimi inherited the big blanket chests where she kept all the quilts and stuff.
And then she had earrings, those earrings I have. I only have one. I wore it as a necklace. It was like a gold glob.
Right, well, the other one went for sale in the house. I didn't realize there was a second one. I'd never seen the second one.
Okay.
But it was, I gave it to you because I thought you could wear it on the chain.
I do. Yeah, I still have it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's quite attractive.
It's very pretty. Mm-hmm.
And, well, Susan Jane were little beads that put on a wire thing that she wore around her neck real tight. Now, Sarah Jane always had her dresses made with a collar and lace around them. But Because she was tall and thin, and she could wear that kind of thing. Mimi could never wear anything that was high around her neck. So that's why all of her clothes never had collars on. That's why she had to have them custom made. And but and I can't stand either. Turtleneck sweater, you know, just about kills me.
Yeah, too much fabric.
Too much. But I never understood that when I was a kid, that bothered her until I tried wearing turtleneck sweaters, and they don't work. Of course, Pappy's neck was real tall and thin. But then when he found this property, they loaned him the money.
This is Loring.
I know, Uncle Dave.
David.
Uncle Dave. Uncle Loring was on his own then. And so they all lived together in New Kingston. Uncle David, Grandma Sarah Jane Stutzman, my father and mother, and Jim.
So had they sold Sarah Jane's farm by then, or they were just working the farm, but she lived with them?
No. They had an auction, and the farm was sold, but she didn't own the farm.
Because of the, women's rights.
The heir.
Okay.
So that's where Mimi had some money from, because she didn't have any money, and the property was in a trust to the 3 children. So
Well, now, that raises another question, because Mimi's a girl, obviously, and how is it that the children, female, could inherit, but the wife could not? That doesn't make sense.
In 1919, women's suffrage came along and analyzed that.
Right. Oh, Mimi was married at 1921, but when John Emanuel died, wasn't it 1910 or 1909?
1904.
1904. Mimi was 10. So that contract would have been drawn up in 1904, 15 years prior
Correct.
to suffrage.
Well, she could inherit.
But isn't that interesting that a female child could inherit, but the wife, or the husband that died, the widower, could not inherit?
Well, that was all because of the law.
Right, but when you stop and analyze it, it doesn't really make
no.
sense.
Well, women's has always taken the second place.
Yeah.
And, but of course that was solved. But see, they each had to sign off for the sale of the house. They all had to agree to it.
Hold on.
Mimi and Uncle